I know you're tired, not just in your body, but in your soul. I've seen the kind of exhaustion that doesn't show in your face but lives behind your eyes. I've heard the prayers you whispered in silence, the ones you didn't have words for. And tonight, as the stars hang above your home, I kneel beside your bed, not in the flesh, but in spirit. I do not come with remedies from men. I come with what heaven has handed to me. There is a kind of healing that does not announce itself with thunder, but with stillness. And that stillness is here now. You don't have to force anything. Not your faith, not your tears, not even your sleep. Just let your heart open slowly, like a flower folding into dawn. Tonight is not about fixing you, it's about touching the part of you that never broke, that quiet place where God still speaks. I have seen miracles. I have felt angels walk into rooms heavy with despair and turn them into sanctuaries. And if you let me, I'll guide you into that space where your pain becomes a prayer and your wounds become windows. Breathe slowly. There is no pressure here, only presence. Heaven is not distant tonight. It is pressed against the walls of your home, leaning close to hear your heartbeat. I ask not for you to believe in me. I ask you to believe that God has not forgotten how to whisper your name, that every ache you carry is known, that every place of tension in your chest, your back, your mind, it is being held now. You don't feel it yet, but you will. There are things that shift when you sleep, and tonight, heaven has decided to move on your behalf. I speak not from theory, but from encounter. I have seen bodies writhing in torment collapse into peace, not from medicine, but from mercy. I have held dying hands and felt warmth return. I have watched fear break under the sound of a single whispered Hail Mary. So don't tell me God is done healing. He's only beginning. And if you're still breathing, He's still moving. So as you lie here, aching, perhaps questioning, maybe even numb, I want you to know, I'm praying with you. Not for a temporary relief, but for a holy reset. There's something sacred about sleep. The soul opens when the body lets go. And tonight, while you surrender to rest, I'm asking heaven to enter every place you've closed, every locked door, every memory you buried, every diagnosis that became part of your identity. I'm asking God to rewrite it all, not with noise, but with presence. He doesn't need a loud voice. He only needs your yes. Because tonight is not just rest, it's resistance. Every breath you take in peace is an act of war against the spirits that tried to steal your sleep. You may be lying still, but heaven is standing guard. You are not defenseless. You are surrounded. And every demon that once called your name is hearing a louder one now. Jesus. Even if it's trembling, even if it's tired, even if it's only a sigh, that's enough. I will carry your faith tonight. You just rest. Let the air in your room feel different now. Let the light shift. Let peace become thick like oil resting on your forehead. I anoint you in the Spirit with every prayer I've ever uttered from my cell in San Giovanni Rotondo, with every tear I've wept for the wounded, the hopeless, the forgotten. I lay those tears beside your pillow. They are holy. And now, so are you. There's nothing you need to earn here. Just receive. Even if you've fallen, even if you've doubted, even if your faith is hanging by a thread, God is not offended by weakness. He is drawn to it. You may not see angels in your sleep. You may not hear trumpets. But if you wake up lighter, if the pain is less, if your breath comes easier, if you cry without knowing why, then know, healing has already begun. Because this is how God works. Subtle, gentle, like dew, not rain. Like a kiss, not a storm. I've watched it too many times to doubt it now, and you will too. I ask that tonight, as you surrender to rest, every force that has warred against your body, mind, or soul be silenced. In the name of Jesus, I declare your bedroom to be a sanctuary, not a battlefield. No more torment, no more nightmares, no more anxiety curling in your stomach like serpents. Let every demon that ever lingered near your rest be banished now. This is holy ground. Your room, your sleep, your story. It all belongs to God, and I, Padre Pio, stand in intercession for you. Your healing does not depend on your effort. It depends on your surrender. Give him your fatigue. Give him your confusion. Give him the parts of you you stopped praying for. That's where the miracle begins. In the ashes, in the silence, in the places you gave up on. I know what it's like to beg for relief. I know what it means to carry pain like a second skin. And I also know what it means when heaven steps in and rewrites everything. That's what I'm praying for tonight. Not an improvement, a recreation. I will keep praying as you sleep. My hands lifted, my soul bowed. The saints surround you. The Spirit covers you. And your healing is not coming. It has already begun. Sleep now. Heaven is awake. Sometimes, it's not the illness that hurts the most. It's the silence that follows your prayers. The long, unanswered nights where your body begs for peace, but heaven feels mute. I know. I lived through them too. Nights when my wounds bled without cause, when my stigmata throbbed and no balm could soothe it. But it was in those silent nights, not the loud miracles, where I met God most intimately. So I tell you now, if this season has felt unbearably quiet, don't assume he is absent. Silence is not his rejection. It is his invitation. There is a grace hidden in nights like this. If you've ever felt like silence was more painful than pain itself, comment, "I've been there. Let's not suffer in silence anymore. Let heaven meet us together." A grace that does not shout but settles. And as you lay still, you are being prepared, not punished. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. Some healings happen instantly. Others, God wraps in mystery. But all healing begins with presence. And he is here, right now, filling the room where you sleep with a stillness that carries power. Not everything that is holy feels loud. Sometimes it feels like peace. Sometimes it feels like a tear slipping without reason. Sometimes it feels like sleep you haven't had in years. I ask you again, not to strive. Just let go. Let the bed catch you. Let the breath slow. Let the fears soften at the edges. You don't have to know what's next. You only need to know who is near. And he is. Even now, I can feel angels gathering, not to observe, but to minister to you. They are not waiting for your perfection. They are responding to your pain. And the prayers you forgot how to pray are being whispered for you now, by saints, by the Spirit, by heaven itself. There are no spectators tonight, only participants. Even the air carries weight now, every moment soaked in mercy. I want you to know, healing is not just for your body. It is for your memory, for your fatigue, for the parts of you that you've learned to ignore. I have watched as people carried trauma in their spine, and it bowed them for years. Not from injury, but from grief. And when we prayed, it was not just their backs that stood straight. It was their spirits. That's what I'm praying for tonight. not just for your flesh to be mended, but for the sorrow to be lifted. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is sleep. If these words are stirring something in you, comment, "I receive this." Not for me, but as a declaration to yourself. A yes whispered into the dark. Because it takes faith to rest in the middle of the storm, and it takes trust to believe that while you do nothing, God is doing everything. Let that be your act of faith tonight. Let go of the need to fix, to figure out, to understand. God does not require your strategy. He asks for your surrender. And as you rest, I ask that every cell in your body come into divine alignment, that every system within you, nervous, immune, emotional, be rewired by grace, not because you earned it, but because you're His. Your body remembers things your mind forgot. Pain stored in bones, stress sitting behind your eyes. I ask now that all of it be released, that the places in you that have clenched for years would begin to soften, that your chest would feel lighter, that your stomach would stop bracing for bad news, that the shadow behind your thoughts would be replaced with light, that the insomnia that's haunted you would surrender to rest, not just tonight, but permanently. For you were never meant to live in survival mode. You were made to dwell in peace. This is not passive healing. This is holy warfare done in silence, while you sleep. Heaven is waging war on every torment that ever dared to claim you. The angels are not just watching, they are fighting. And your surrender is their signal. He is not just healing you. He is restoring your ability to feel safe. If this feels personal, if your soul knows this voice is for you, comment, "He found me." That one sentence could become the doorway for someone else's healing too. To feel whole, to feel like yourself again. And I promise you, the part of you that's been missing, the joy, the ease, the laughter, it's not gone. It's just buried under the rubble of what you survived. But tonight, I reach into that rubble with hands of intercession and I say, come back to life. Peace, return. Hope, rise again. Joy, come home. This body is not a battlefield anymore. It is a temple. But the temple was once a battlefield, and that's why it's sacred now. Not because it was untouched, but because it was fought for. Every scar on your soul is proof of survival, and now proof of surrender. The war is turning, and rest is winning, and it is being rebuilt from the inside out. Sleep now, as I whisper over you again. You are not alone. The hands that shaped the stars are hovering over your bed. The breath that raised Lazarus is breathing in your room. The same spirit that moved over the waters in Genesis now moves over your wounds. You don't need to see it to believe it. You only need to say yes. A soft yes, even a tired one, that is enough. And if you still feel doubt crawling through your mind, I ask you, what if the healing has already started and your body just needs time to catch up? What if what you call delay, heaven calls incubation? What if the answer isn't no, it's not yet, because it's coming bigger than you prayed for? Rest in that. Rest in knowing that even tonight, as you drift into sleep, something is shifting. Not in the loud places, but in the deep ones. In the places where light takes root, where sorrow is unlearned, where the divine touches the fragile and calls it whole. Sleep now, beloved soul. Heaven is awake, and healing is already here. I once watched a man die, not because his heart failed, but because his hope did. It wasn't the sickness that took him. It was the silence, the belief that God had walked away, that no one saw, that no one would come. And I remember thinking, The most dangerous illness is not cancer, it's hopelessness. That's why tonight, I'm not just praying for your body. I'm praying for the part of you that stopped believing healing was possible. Because if no one has said this to you yet, I will. It is not over. The pain is not the prophecy. Your diagnosis is not the decree. You are not being punished. You are being pursued. And if tonight feels like a final breath, I promise you, it is only the inhale before resurrection. I know what it's like to lie still in the dark and wonder if the light will ever return. But I also know this. Sometimes healing starts where the fight ends, not when you push, but when you release. So I invite you again to stop striving, just rest. Let yourself be held by something holier than logic. You've done enough, you've fought hard, and now it's time to be carried. Let this be the night where heaven bends low not to test you, but to cradle you. I have seen God do more with surrendered weakness than with years of determined strength. And I believe tonight is not about you proving your faith. It's about you being met with mercy. As I continue to pray over you, I ask that every lingering weight be lifted now. The guilt, the shame, the disappointment in yourself, the weariness that doesn't come from work, but from waiting. You've waited long, and heaven honors that. Your delay is not a dismissal. It's the deep breath before breakthrough, and you are closer than you think. You don't need to feel spiritual tonight to receive. You don't need to cry. You don't need to be loud. You don't even need to know what to say. Healing is not earned, it's received, and you, just as you are worthy to receive it. With your fear, with your doubt, with your mess, with your broken prayers. You are still the beloved, and the blood still flows, and mercy still moves when no one else does. Right now, I ask heaven to cleanse the places in you that medicine can't reach, not just cells, but soul. I ask the Lord to anoint your memory, to anoint the scenes that still haunt you when your eyes close, to visit the you that still lives in the trauma, and walk him out of that room hand in hand. You may be older now, but the younger version of you still needs freedom. And tonight, Jesus is walking back through the timeline of your life and whispering, I was there, and I'm here now, and I'm not leaving. That's healing too. Not just miracles in muscles, but peace in places you buried. That's what I pray over you. Restoration that does not just change your body, but changes the story you tell yourself about your life. Because for too long, you've lived as if the worst thing that happened to you was the truest thing about you. But it isn't. You are not your diagnosis. You are not your dysfunction. You are not your delay. You are the healed of the Lord, even when you don't feel it yet. Faith is not pretending to be fine. It's trusting that God is still working in the unfine. And right now, in this holy stillness, I believe He is weaving healing through every fiber of your being, from the bones that ache, to the cells that struggle, to the thoughts that torment. He is moving, silently, completely, perfectly, as you sleep. You don't need to wake up shouting. You just need to wake up lighter. Even if nothing on the outside has changed yet, I believe something inside will have. And that's where all true healing begins. In the quiet shift, no one can see but you can feel. That whisper of breath returning, that soft sense of peace, that holy hush where fear used to live. I speak peace over your nervous system now. I speak calm into your chest. I speak order into your hormones. I speak alignment into your spine. I speak rest into your gut. I speak balance into your blood. I speak silence to every thought that accuses you. And I speak the voice of the Good Shepherd louder than all of them. He calls you His. He calls you whole. He calls you home. And this room? It's not just your bedroom anymore. It's become a sanctuary, a holy operating room, where the physician of physicians is doing what no one else could, not for attention, but because he loves you, not because you begged enough, but because he chose to. Let that reality settle deeper than any fear. Let it rewrite your midnight story, because tonight you are not waiting for healing. You are being healed. Even now I feel something shifting in the air around you, a divine gentleness, a soft roar of presence. You may not have the words, but your spirit does, and it's been crying out for this moment. Let it be done unto you according to that cry. Sometimes I wonder how many people lie awake at night, not because of pain in the body, but pain in the spirit. The kind that doesn't show up on scans, but erodes you from the inside. You look fine, you function, but you are quietly crumbling, not because of what happened, but because of what never got healed. That's who I'm praying for right now, for the silent sufferers, the ones who smile by day and tremble by night. You haven't told anyone how tired you are because you don't want to scare them, but I see you. More importantly, heaven sees you. And God doesn't heal what you hide. He heals what you surrender. So tonight, I give you permission to fall apart in sacred hands. I give you permission to not be okay, because Jesus doesn't wait for you to pull it together. He walks into the places where everything is falling apart and makes them holy. That's what he's doing now, taking the rubble and building rest, taking the anxiety and trading it for assurance. You don't have to know how he will do it. You just have to know he will. He always does, and never the same way twice. He's not a formula. He's a father. Right now, I feel an overwhelming peace settling in the room, like oil running down from the altar, like the breath of heaven exhaling over your chaos. I invite you to inhale it, slowly, deeply, not just through your lungs, but through your spirit. Let it enter the cracks. The places you thought were too far gone, too hardened, too haunted. Let him go there. Let him walk into that memory, into that night you never talk about, into that diagnosis that feels like a sentence, into that fear that keeps you from sleeping. He's not afraid of it. He's not shocked. He's not distant. He's present, tender, intentional. And as I pray, I'm reminded of something sacred Padre Pio once whispered. It is in the deepest silence that God's hands do their loudest miracles. So if you don't feel anything, don't panic. Healing isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's invisible, but it's no less real. Heaven is not looking for your emotional reaction. It's looking for your internal permission. Let go. Let God reach into the marrow and rewrite the code. Let him reorder your cells, restore your rhythms, calm your chemistry. Let him reach into the trauma that embedded itself like a virus in your nervous system and begin the slow, beautiful uncoiling. This is not just about curing a symptom. This is about restoring who you were before the world broke you. It's about giving you back your laughter, your breath, your dreams, your trust. And I feel the Lord saying even now, I'm not just healing your body, I'm healing your timeline, the regret that kept you stuck, the delay that made you bitter, the grief that made you numb. Tonight, healing flows not in one direction, but backward and forward, restoring what was and preparing what will be. That's how thorough heaven is. It doesn't patch you up, it resurrects. So I pray now for your future, for every morning that felt too heavy to face, for every relationship you were too tired to mend, for every purpose you've put on hold. I speak divine acceleration. What was lost, let it be returned. What was delayed, let it be redeemed. What was broken, let it be reborn. Not because you forced it, but because you finally surrendered it. That's the paradox of heaven. The moment you release control is the moment miracles begin. There is healing happening even now in your bloodstream, in your hormones, in your sleep patterns, in your digestive system, in the way your brain processes fear, in the way your body holds stress. God is unlearning your cells from the habits of trauma. He is deprogramming your pain and reteaching your body what peace feels like, what joy feels like, what safety feels like. You've lived so long in survival mode that you forgot what rest feels like. But tonight, rest returns. Not just sleep, but soul rest. That sacred knowing that you are being held, that you don't have to hold it all together, because you never had to. And as this wave of healing flows, I pray specifically for the one listening who's been battling this illness for years. You've been prayed over so many times you've stopped expecting anything. You love God, but you're tired of hope, tired of being disappointed, tired of pretending you're okay when inside you feel forgotten. I know, I've been there. But hear me now. Delay is not denial, silence is not absence, and tired faith is still faith. God is not waiting for your passion. He's moved by your persistence. You're still here, still listening, still holding on, and that is enough. You are not disqualified. You are not abandoned. You are next. Let that truth soften every place in you that has grown hard. Let it melt the armor you put on to survive. You don't have to fight anymore. This is not a battle. This is a blessing. And the blessing is not always what gets removed, but what gets revealed. Tonight, you are seeing God as healer again. Not as a distant force, but as an intimate Father. One who kneels beside your bed, places his hand on your chest, and says with tears in his eyes, "I never left you." That's what healing really is. Not just the absence of pain, but the presence of love. And love is here. There was a night I remember so clearly when I had nothing left to say. No more prayers, no more declarations, just silence and tears. I laid in bed, staring into the dark, wondering if heaven had forgotten how to find me. But it was there, in that hollow space between heartbreak and surrender, that something shifted. It wasn't loud, it wasn't instant, but it was real. A warmth entered the room, not like fire, but like memory, like something sacred had always been there, but I was only now soft enough to feel it. I didn't hear a voice, but I knew without a doubt God had just walked in. And tonight, that same presence is walking into your room, not with thunder, but with tenderness. Not to perform, but to stay. Not to fix you in 5 seconds, but to remind you that he's in no rush. Healing is not a sprint, it's a sacred unfolding. And it begins with one choice: to stop running from your pain and let God sit with you in it. That's what he's doing now. Sitting beside your bed like a loving father, watching over you as you sleep. Not because you earned it, but because he loves you. And I need you to hear this. What you're carrying is not too much. You are not too complicated. You are not too broken. You are not a burden to heaven. You're not faithless because the pain hasn't gone away. Healing doesn't always come in the form of instant relief. Sometimes, healing is the fact that you keep breathing when you want it to disappear. Sometimes, it's the grace to sleep through a night without nightmares. Sometimes, it's the whisper inside you that says, "Just hold on one more day." That, too, is healing. Don't despise it because it doesn't look like a miracle. Sometimes, miracles wear the clothes of endurance. I believe some of the greatest healing happens unseen while you're sleeping. while your defenses are down, while your thoughts are finally quiet. It's then that heaven does its finest surgery, without anesthesia, without witnesses, but with infinite gentleness. That's why tonight matters. Because while you rest, something deeper is happening. Realignment, cellular repair, soul recalibration. Wounds are being closed, not by force, but by divine mercy. You don't have to feel it to know it's happening. Just stay open, just trust, just let go. And as I pray this over you, I feel led to speak directly to the one who lost someone recently. Not just a person, but a piece of yourself when they left. You don't know how to heal from something that has no closure. The world has moved on, but you haven't. And I want to tell you, that's okay. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without breaking. God is not trying to erase your grief. He's trying to sit in it with you until grief turns into gratitude, until memory becomes a meeting place again, not a wound. Even as you lay in bed, you might feel the ache of their absence. But let this become holy ground. Invite Jesus into the empty space they used to fill. Let him hold the chair that's no longer occupied. Let him kiss the part of your heart that still bleeds when you hear their name. He understands. He wept at Lazarus's tomb, not because he was helpless, but because he was human. You don't have to fake strength in front of a God who bled. You don't have to pretend when you pray. Your honesty is not an obstacle. It's the open door to breakthrough. And tonight, I believe breakthrough is coming, not through shouting, but through stillness, not through striving, but through surrender. And I speak this now. Your healing doesn't need your performance, it needs your permission. Let God love the ugliest parts of your story. Let him hold the chapters you keep hidden. He is not ashamed of what you've been through. In fact, he's already been weaving redemption into the parts you thought were too messy for miracles. I know what it's like to lie in bed and beg for sleep that never comes. But tonight, may your bed become an altar. May the pillow beneath your head become soaked in oil, not of tears, but of comfort. May the blankets feel like the wings of angels surrounding you. And may you finally stop bracing for pain long enough to remember what peace feels like. Peace that doesn't make sense. Peace that doesn't depend on diagnosis or deadlines. Peace that wraps around you like a presence. Because it is. Jesus is here. Not in concept, in reality. He's standing at the foot of your bed, his eyes full of compassion, his voice full of truth. And he's saying the same thing he said to the woman with the issue of blood. Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. That word peace doesn't just mean calm. In the original language, it means wholeness, completeness, nothing missing, nothing broken. And that's what he's restoring in you. Not just a healed limb, a healed life. So let the tears come. Let the breath deepen. Let the room go quiet. And let heaven do what only it can do. I promise you, this night is different. Not because the pain is louder, but because your surrender is deeper. And in that place, the supernatural begins. There was a moment, not long ago, when I realized I wasn't just asking for healing. I was asking for permission to feel again. Because somewhere along the way, the pain had numbed me. Not instantly, but slowly. Like water eroding stone. Like darkness convincing you that silence is safety. And the hardest part of healing wasn't the physical suffering. It was allowing myself to hope again. Because hope feels dangerous when you've been disappointed too many times. But tonight, I feel that same whisper brushing against the corners of your soul. The gentle voice that says, try again, trust again, breathe again. And maybe you're afraid of being let down again. Maybe you've prayed before, only to wake up to the same reality. I understand. I really do. But I'm here to tell you something you might not believe yet. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Heaven's timing isn't denial, it's design. And sometimes, what feels like delay is actually God making space for something deeper than relief, restoration, the kind of healing that doesn't just touch your body, but rewrites your identity, the kind that reaches back into memories and rewires what pain once said about you. That kind of healing takes time, but it starts tonight. It starts when you stop fighting your weakness and let Jesus become your strength. As I speak this, I feel the Holy Spirit hovering, not above you, around you, inside you, wrapping every shattered memory, every unspoken prayer, every wound you didn't even know still bled. And I need you to hear me now. God is not just interested in healing the surface. He is healing the root, the rejection you've carried since childhood, the shame you've hidden behind performance, the fear that tells you you'll always be like this. Tonight, He's going underneath all of it, not to expose you, but to exhume what the enemy tried to bury alive. I want you to do something as you lie here. Just breathe slowly, in and out. No pressure, no perfection, just presence. With every breath, say His name softly. Jesus. Let that name become the rhythm of your heartbeat. Let it interrupt the panic. Let it rewire the grief. Because when His name is spoken in sincerity, darkness has no choice but to leave. And not just external darkness, but the inner chaos, the confusion, the spiritual fatigue you've been pretending isn't there. You don't have to pretend anymore. Not here. Not with Him. And as you continue breathing, I want you to bring your hands to your chest. Feel the beating of your own heart. That pulse is proof you're still here. And if you're still here, then God is not finished. That alone should silence every lie of the enemy that told you you're too far gone, too late, too broken. If God only used perfect people, no miracles would exist. But He specializes in healing through the ones who never thought they'd make it through the night. That's you. And tonight, heaven is rewriting your story, not with ink, but with oil. I can sense it even now. Someone is crying not because of pain, but because the presence is finally real again. It's been so long since you felt Him. You forgot what it was like to be seen without judgment, held without condition, loved without transaction. But that's who Jesus is. He's the God who sits beside the bed of the bruised, the one who doesn't need candles or cathedrals to enter your space. Just an open heart and an honest sigh. That's enough. You don't need more words. You don't need to prove your faith. You just need to rest. Rest is worship. Rest is trust. And when you rest, you're saying to God, I believe you're still working even when I can't see it. That's the kind of faith that moves heaven, the kind that breaks chains, the kind that doesn't shout but surrenders. And right now I declare over your life, chains are breaking, not just emotional or physical, but spiritual. Invisible contracts that tied you to trauma are being shredded. Words spoken over you in anger are being silenced. Generational weight you were never meant to carry is being lifted. You don't have to understand it, just receive it. And I speak to your sleep tonight, not as a routine, but as a sanctuary. May your dreams become highways of healing. May your mind become fertile ground for peace. May every tormenting spirit that has stolen your nights be bound and cast out in the name of Jesus. May angels be stationed at every corner of your room. May the atmosphere shift, not in theory, but tangibly. Let the temperature of heaven invade your home. Let the wind of the Spirit blow through your walls. Let the peace that passes all understanding become the very air you breathe. I say this with authority because I've lived it. What happens while you sleep can heal what decades of striving couldn't. Not because sleep is magical, but because God is merciful. And in sleep, we finally stop interfering. We stop resisting. We let Him do what only He can. That's the gift of tonight. Not a perfect solution, but perfect surrender. And when your spirit surrenders, your body can rest. And when your body rests, your soul can receive. And when your soul receives, healing is no longer a possibility. It's a promise. So, sleep tonight, not like someone hoping for scraps, but like a child under royal care. Like someone who knows their defender never slumbers. Like someone who is no longer begging, but believing. You are not abandoned. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are being rebuilt, right here, right now. And even if you don't feel different tomorrow morning, trust this. Something eternal began tonight. Not in your symptoms, but in your soul. And the rest of your story will never be the same. I didn't realize how heavy I'd been carrying my own name until God whispered it back to me with love, not condemnation, not disappointment, but love. The kind that doesn't flinch when it sees the dirt. The kind that doesn't withdraw when the wounds start weeping again. That night, as I lay half awake, half surrendered, I felt Him rewrite my name. Not the one the world gave me, not the one trauma carved into my bones, but the one heaven had been waiting to restore. Beloved, I am His. Not because I got everything right, but because He never stopped reaching. You see, true healing doesn't begin where the pain stops. It begins where identity is restored. Because until you know who you are, you'll keep asking for things that only distract you from the ache. You'll chase comfort instead of healing. You'll settle for survival instead of surrender. But when you finally hear God call you mine, something cracks open. Something eternal. Something unstoppable. That's what happened to me. That's what's happening to you right now. You might not feel a thunderous shift. You might not cry. But deep beneath the noise, beneath the scars, beneath the protective walls you didn't even realize you built, your soul is waking up. And when your soul wakes up, demons lose jurisdiction, trauma loses permission, and fear begins to starve. Because fear can only grow in places unspoken. But the moment you give voice to your healing, the enemy's lies start unraveling. That's why I'm not whispering anymore. I'm declaring it with every cell in my body. I am healed. I am whole. I am His. Some of you listening tonight have made peace with torment. You've made space for sickness. You've learned how to live with half a heart. But I came tonight to break that agreement, not with my words, but with His authority. That illness that's lingered longer than it should. It's not just medical. It's spiritual. That anxiety that shows up like a wave every time you try to rest. It's not natural. It's warfare. And tonight, I'm taking back the ground you didn't know you surrendered. I declare over every listener right now, you are no longer a prisoner. This room is a courtroom, and heaven just ruled in your favor. The blood of Jesus is not a metaphor. It's a weapon. It speaks when your words fail. It defends when you're too weak to fight. It covers you, not just from sin, but from despair, from deterioration, from demonic strategy. And right now, I apply that blood over your home, over your body, over your memories, over your DNA. Whatever was passed down through generations of brokenness, I declare a divine interruption, a holy collision between heaven's promise and earth's pain. You are not bound to your family's story. You are bound to His. I see chains of addiction snapping, not because of willpower, but because of worship. I see autoimmune disorders losing grip, not because of supplements, but because the Spirit has entered the bloodstream. I see suicidal thoughts dissolving like smoke, not because of distraction, but because light has entered the room. And where light dwells, darkness cannot negotiate. It must flee, so let it flee now. Let every unclean thing that's made your body its host be driven out in the name of Jesus. I speak to the back pain that is spiritual in nature. Be gone. I speak to the insomnia fueled by demonic harassment. Peace, be still. I speak to the cancer rooted in generational bitterness. Be reversed. You don't have to understand it. You just have to receive it. Because faith isn't logical. It's surrender. And healing never asks, do you deserve it? It only asks, will you let me in? And so, I open every door, every locked memory, every secret fear. I open them not to be exposed, but to be encountered. Encountered by the only one who has ever seen all of me and still said, I want you. That's who Jesus is. That's who is hovering over your bed right now. You are not just lying in a room. You are lying in the presence of glory. The veil between heaven and earth is paper thin tonight, and your bed has become an altar. I can feel the weight of angels around you. Some of you even feel pressure on your chest, but it's not anxiety, it's presence. The glory of God is tangible when you stop resisting and just lean in. Lean into the warmth, lean into the stillness, lean into the healing vibration of His name, and let the old self melt away. Let the version of you that had to pretend, perform, and protect go. Let her go. Let him go. Let the healed version rise, slowly, gently, unapologetically. Rise. And when you wake up tomorrow, you may not feel fireworks, but something will have shifted. Maybe your thoughts will be clearer. Maybe your pain will be softer. Maybe your heart will feel safer. That's healing. That's Jesus. That's the promise He whispered over you while you were still broken, still doubting, still trembling. He never waited for your perfection, only your permission. And now that He has it, nothing will ever be the same again. I didn't fall asleep. I fell into His hands. And in that place between night and dawn, I wasn't dreaming. I was remembering what it felt like to belong, to be held without condition, to breathe without fear, to love without loss. It was as if heaven peeled back the veil for a moment and whispered, you were never meant to carry that alone. The trauma, the shame, the diagnosis, they weren't your identity. They were only interruptions. But He is the continuity, and He was never interrupted. As I lay still, a strange warmth moved through my body. It wasn't from the blanket, it was from within. It pulsed with peace, with presence, with power, not loud, not showy, just absolute. The kind of presence that doesn't need to announce itself because it changes the air. The kind of peace that reaches you not just where it hurts, but where you didn't even know you were broken. And I knew, in that holy silence, something was being rewritten. Not just my condition, but my composition. Jesus didn't just want to heal what others could see. He wanted to heal what I hid from even myself. The self-hate, the memories I numbed, the inner vows I made when I was young and scared and unheard. He walked through the ruins of my past, not to shame me, but to rescue the parts of me I left behind. The child, the artist, the believer, the me before I had to survive. He gathered them all, kissed the dust off their shoulders and whispered, "I've kept them safe for you." Tears streamed down my face while my body stayed still. Have you ever cried in your sleep? Not from fear, but from recognition. That's what it was. My soul recognized him, not as a stranger, but as the one I had been waiting for, the one I always suspected was there, even when silence filled the room. And in that moment, healing no longer felt like something I was hoping for. It felt like something I was inside. This isn't metaphor. It's encounter. And I believe it's happening to you now, just like it happened to me. The music in the background isn't just sound. It's frequency. The voice you hear isn't just a voice. It's assignment. And the stillness you feel, that's not emptiness. It's presence. Don't be surprised if you wake up tomorrow and your room smells like peace, or your pillow feels weightless, or your thoughts are softer, because the Spirit doesn't need permission from science to perform surgery. He only needs your yes, and if you haven't said it yet, say it now. Yes, Jesus. Yes to healing. Yes to rest. Yes to you. That one whisper is enough to shift the entire atmosphere. It's enough to invite the fire without fear, because this fire doesn't burn you, it refines you. And when it touches your bones, your past can't stick to you anymore. You're not just being cleaned, you're being claimed. I saw him standing at the foot of my bed, not with judgment in his eyes, but with memory. Like he had never forgotten who I was, even when I did. And when I looked down at my body, my weary, exhausted, betrayed body, I didn't see weakness anymore. I saw worthiness. Every scar, every wrinkle, every stretch mark became sacred, because they weren't signs of failure. They were proof that I made it here, that I still believed enough to show up. And showing up, that's what invites the miracle. I want you to know, beloved listener, what's happening in you right now is holy. It's not performance. It's not hype. It's healing. Quiet, invisible, cellular healing. Healing that starts from the spirit and spills into the bloodstream. Healing that bypasses diagnosis and touches design. Healing that doesn't ask, how long has it been? Because heaven never measures time the way earth does. Heaven only asks, is your heart open tonight? And if it is, then this isn't just another night. It's a night of return. Return to peace. Return to joy. Return to identity. I feel led to speak directly into what some of you have been afraid to name. That chronic fatigue that keeps stealing your mornings. It's not laziness. It's spiritual weight. And tonight, it lifts. That autoimmune war you've been fighting silently. The angels are laying hands on your immune system even now. That cloud of depression that descends every night at the same time. It's being broken by the voice of truth that is echoing through this room. You are not weak. You are not forgotten. You are not cursed. You are His. And the one who made your body knows how to fix it. The one who formed your mind knows how to restore it. The one who breathed your soul into being is still breathing on you now. Every inhale is sacred. Every exhale is deliverance. Breathe, child. Breathe again. This is not just sleep. This is sanctuary. And in this sacred space, even the molecules of your body are listening to heaven, listening to the sound of faith rising from a soul that refuses to give up. Don't be surprised if you dream tonight. Not ordinary dreams, but prophetic repair. Encounters in the spirit that untie the knots trauma left behind. Visions that realign your nervous system with heaven's rhythm. Some of you will wake up with ideas you never had before. Others with pain you forgot to notice was gone. That's what happens when you sleep under glory. And that's where you are now, under glory. I don't know what time it is. I don't need to, because something is happening that doesn't live in minutes or hours. It lives in eternity, and I can feel it. There's a holy hush falling over this room, as if heaven is leaning in, closer than breath, closer than skin. I'm not just being watched, I'm being woven, thread by thread, stitch by sacred stitch. The Father is weaving me back together in the pattern He intended. Not the version I settled for, the version He dreamed of when He called me by name. And as I lay here, still, surrendered, I feel His hand resting over my heart. It's not heavy, it's healing. And He's not just mending what broke, He's rewriting what I believed because it broke. He's whispering over the lies I swallowed for too long, lies that said, "You're too late. You'll always be sick. You're being punished. You're forgotten." I hear Him now, one word at a time, silencing each one. No, 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 and no, you are not forgotten. You are not being punished. You are not too late. You are mine. And when the Maker says mine, something shifts in the atmosphere. Suddenly I'm not scared of the pain anymore, because now I know it's not the enemy of my healing. It's the evidence that healing is happening. The pain is movement. The ache is alignment. The restlessness is resurrection. Something deep within me is waking up. The part of me that still believed in miracles, but stopped asking for them. The part that hoped, but in silence. That cried, but only in private. That gave God everything, except the part that hurt the most. Tonight He's coming for that part, the hidden wound, the one I covered in theology and distraction, the one I learned to live with instead of laying down, the one I joked about so I wouldn't have to grieve. But I don't have to hide it anymore. I don't have to explain it. I don't have to defend why I still carry it, because He's not asking for proof. He's asking for permission. And I whisper through tears, "Yes, Lord, heal even this." And that's when it happens, what the Bible calls the seal. It's not loud, it's not visible, but it's real. A divine marking, an invisible inscription upon my soul. I belong to the healer, and no darkness, no disease, no diagnosis can rewrite that inscription. Because this moment isn't just about recovery, it's about ownership. I've been sealed by love, not the kind that flickers, the kind that claims, the kind that walks into the tomb, unwraps your grief, and says, "Come out, Lazarus, it's over now." I feel like Lazarus tonight, not because I died, but because something in me lived again. My will, my joy, my voice. They're not just returning, they're rising. And I realize now this isn't just a prayer, it's a rebirth, a sacred exchange. My fear for His fire, my fatigue for His fullness, my limitation for His limitless love. I don't need the answers anymore, because I am the answer He's been waiting to heal. And He is the answer I didn't know how to ask for. I see it now. This wasn't just sleep. This was a consecration. The bed became an altar. My breath became incense. My stillness became a sanctuary. And His presence? It didn't just visit, it dwelt. And once heaven dwells, it never leaves empty. The oil it pours is not wasted. It finds every crack in the soul and fills it with glory. Not for performance, not for applause, but for presence. And I sense something more, even now. It's for you. You who are still wondering if you missed your miracle. You who pressed play not even knowing why, but you couldn't stop listening. You who tried to stay numb because healing hurt too much. This part is for you. Listen closely. This is the night it turned. The night the diagnosis lost its name. the night the fear lost its grip, the night you went to bed sick and woke up sealed. You may not see the change in the mirror yet, but the spirit knows, and the body will follow. Because healing isn't always instant, but it's always initiated by faith. And your faith tonight, however small it felt, was enough to move heaven. And heaven did not just move, it marked you. I feel led to say this. When you wake up, things may feel different. The pain might be lighter, the air might be clearer. You might not know why you feel peace where panic used to live. That's the mark. That's the oil. That's the evidence of what you just received. And it's not because of this voice or this video. It's because the healer himself walked into your midnight and said, "This one is mine. I'm not leaving without them." And he didn't. He stayed. I'm still here. But something in me isn't. The fear, the exhaustion, the quiet hopelessness that used to sit beside me like a shadow. It's gone. I don't know when it left. Maybe it slipped out the moment I finally let him in. Or maybe it was never real to begin with, just the echo of wounds pretending to be identity. But now I know who I am. Not because I proved it, but because he named me in the dark. And when the light comes in the morning, I will rise with a name no pain can erase. Not sick, not abandoned, not forgotten, but healed, held, holy. This wasn't just a night of prayer. It was a turning point in time. I didn't just fall asleep, I surrendered. I didn't just listen to words, I received a word. And that word is still reverberating through my bones. You are mine, and you are well. It's not a suggestion, it's a seal. And from this night forward, I will walk like someone who's been sealed by heaven. I feel it. This oil isn't temporary. It wasn't poured for this night alone. It was poured for the journey, for every hallway I'll walk, every appointment, every place I once feared to enter. I'll carry this mark. I'll carry this peace. Not because I earned it, but because he gave it freely to the one who dared to believe in the middle of the night. And if there's a voice in the back of my head that still says, "But what if you wake up and still feel the pain?" I know what to say now. I'll say, even if I feel it, I'll never fear it again. Because now I know, healing is not a feeling. It's a person. And that person never leaves. I don't need a thunderclap. I don't need to feel electricity in my skin. I don't need fireworks in my chest to prove something happened, because something far more eternal just occurred. Something the enemy cannot reverse. Something deeper than emotion and stronger than logic. He touched me. He walked into my ordinary sleep and made it sacred. He stepped into the silence and left it echoing with holy fire. So I will sleep now, but not as I did before. I will sleep as someone who has been spoken for, who has been touched by hands that once healed the blind, who has been sealed by a Savior who does not forget. I won't carry this ache anymore as a curse. I will carry it as proof that even pain can become the place of encounter. And if I ever forget this night, if I ever wake up one day and doubt again, I will remember the stillness. I will remember the presence. I will remember the way peace wrapped around my chest like a blanket stitched with light. And I'll remind myself, he came once, he'll come again. He never left. To the one listening to this voice hours after midnight, to the one laying there wondering if this was for them, I say this: it was always for you. Every word, every breath, every pause between the sentences. It was written into your timeline before the pain even began. You were not late to your healing. You were right on time for his touch. Because healing is not only about the body. Sometimes it's about the part of you that stopped believing you were worth healing. And tonight, that part came alive again. You may feel fragile. but you're no longer broken. You may still walk through hard days, but you'll walk with oil on your head and fire in your chest. And when people ask what changed, you'll smile. You'll say something shifted while I was asleep. You'll say you felt a presence that didn't need to be seen to be known. That didn't need to shout to be heard. That didn't need to prove anything because it was everything. And in that presence you were rebuilt, not rushed, not forced, but whispered back into wholeness. I know now, this isn't the end of my prayer. It's the beginning of my testimony. So I'll whisper one last time before I close my eyes. Thank you, Jesus. Not just for healing my body, but for healing the part of me that forgot you were this close. Now I rest, not just because I'm tired, but because I'm carried. And when I rise, I won't rise alone, because heaven came to meet me in the night, and it will walk with me into the dawn. Amen.